How are you is the question.
Yeah, well, I'm about to find out. I want you to start us off by giving this Saquon to the Eagles deal a grade.
It's an A.
A?
It's an A.
Wow.
And I tried to tell you about Saquon Barkley, top of the list at the running back position.
You have tried.
And you won't listen. But when you look at it, the running back position, for some reason, is valuable again. They've just basically flew off the shelf. All those guys, the running backs that was available yesterday, everybody basically is gone except
for Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Derrick Henry's the only guy, and he's waiting for the right deal to make that move. Now, you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and what they've been able to do. They had DeAndre Swift. Didn't work at the level that they wanted it to, so they went and got better, both in the run game and in the passing game. Saquon Barkley is just, I don't know what else to say about him. This is the best offensive group that he will have been with in his entire short-term career. When you think about some of the players on the perimeter, and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard at tight end and Jalen Hurts at the running back position, the RPO game for the Philadelphia Eagles just got that much better. I mean, it really did. And I know you don't want to hear it because you're a Dallas Cowboy guy and Saquon Barkley just went up the road or down the road or whatever they say on the East Coast to Philadelphia. When you talk about some of the things that the Eagles have done in the past in the off seasons, they've gone out and they've upgraded almost every single year. They try to get better. They don't stand pat. They saw Saquon Barkley on the market, and look, they gave him 3 years, $37 million, $26 million fully guaranteed. The deal's up to $47 million if he hits all the incentives and all the other stuff that goes into that. The New York Giants didn't see that value because it's not because he wasn't a player that couldn't play. They need a lot. They got to restructure their offensive line. They got to do things at the defensive side. They got to find a wide receiver. They made one of the biggest colossal mistakes in all of football a year ago when they decided not to get the deal done with Saquon Barkley. Instead, they paid the quarterback. And I know quarterbacks had a premium, but not Daniel Jones. Not Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones they could have done any type of deal with him, and he would have accepted it. Saquon Barkley, for 2 years, tried to get a deal, a long-term deal done with them, and it didn't happen. Philadelphia Eagles said, okay. They stepped up to the plate because they feel that they've at least gotten even with the Dallas Cowboys right now. And they may be slightly above, depending on you asking. Yes, they lose Kevin Byard that they picked up. He's gone to the Chicago Bears. Kelsey retired, and then Fletcher Cox retired. They still got to replace the center position, one of the greatest centers to ever play the game. Who knows what they got in store? They may have somebody there that they feel real good about, and Kelsey knows that. That's one of the reasons why he just said, okay, you guys are in good hands. I like what Philadelphia has done thus far, bringing in Barkley. I know you may not like it, but I do.
And I will restate what I've told you for whatever it's been, 2-3 weeks that we have talked about this. Saquon Barkley to Philadelphia doesn't scare me one bit as a Cowboy fan.
Okay.
I think you have been blinded by the lights, as in the highlights. I think you see the highlights and you don't see the many lowlights. I think he has been dramatically overrated in large part because he played in the Big Apple, the apple of everybody's eye in New York City, and people kept waiting and waiting and waiting for him to take off, and nothing happened. He's been there for 6 years. This will be his 7th year. He did tear his ACL, so he missed most of 1 year. And they made it to the playoffs once, and they did win a playoff game at Minnesota, and then they got bum rushed out of Philadelphia 38-7. Okay, so I'll just back up what I'm saying. I read an analysis on ESPN.com by Seth Walder, their analytics guy, and he said exactly what I've been trying to tell you for 3 weeks, maybe even a month. He said, while Saquon is a huge name, the numbers don't suggest that he's that level of player anymore. And he concludes, the difference between Barkley at this stage of his career and an average starter is small. And Barkley is in decline. And I've tried to tell you, the numbers start to fade and just slowly.
Did he mention the offensive line at all in his article?
No, he did not.
Okay.
It's just a little analysis here, but they gave him a ton of money for what he is or what he has been. and I'm going to give you my analogy again. Saquon can hit you home runs. He's the classic, if I can use a baseball analogy, home run hitter who leads the league in strikeouts and bats .220. He is the classic case of a player against my Dallas Cowboys, and you laugh every time I say this, but I'm going to throw it out there again because it's the truth, and it has impact as we speak right now. Within the confines of the NFC East, New York's biggest rival is the Dallas Cowboys. That's the one they get the most up for. Not the Philadelphia Eagles, not Washington. It's the Dallas freaking Cowboys. And against my Cowboys, Saquon is now 0-10. In 10 games, he still hasn't beaten the Cowboys. And in 10 games, he has managed to eclipse 100 yards only twice. And in those 2 games that he went over 100, he had a home run. He had a 68-yarder, and in the other 100-yard game, he had a 59-yarder. And if you do the math on all the other carries, it's going to come out to like 2.6 yards per, because he can't hammer away between the tackles. He can't establish the run. He can't move those change. He is not the kind of player that is so transcendent that he can take over football games for you, because that's not the way he's built. He's flash and he's dash. And up there, going back 2 years ago, Cooper Rush won the game after Saquon got loose for, I think it was 45 yards in the third quarter, and all of a sudden they're up and the stands are going crazy, and Cooper Rush goes back-to-back 80-yard drives, touchdown, game over. I just haven't seen it. And I watch as closely as I can watch, and I don't get what you're seeing, because you see highlights. You get caught up in splash, and I don't see enough consistency.
I actually see a running back that, if he had skill position players and a quarterback behind him and an offensive line, he could do a lot of dirty work.
Okay.
He can hurt your feelings. That's what I see. Now,
All
you keep pointing to somebody playing against the Cowboys and not having the success that you think they should have against the Cowboys. Now, Aaron Jones had a lot of success against the Cowboys.
Did he?
He just found another home in Minnesota.
Okay, that was a big mistake on Green Bay's
It might have been a big mistake. It may or may not. We're not there yet. But all I'm saying is, I don't judge somebody's success against one team. You can't do that. I also got to look at everything around them. Again, I said this to you before, then I'll say it again. This is the best offensive unit that Saquon Barkley will have played with. On top of that, this is the best offensive unit, in my opinion, that the new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore will be coordinating. Even the stops in Dallas with the Zekes and Amari Coopers and the young CD Lambs and Schultz. This is a better unit than those guys, because this is a little more seasoned. These guys have a little more season to them. You may disagree, because it's the Philadelphia Eagles. And as far as the Giants' rival is the Dallas Cowboys, feels like it's the Philadelphia Eagles to me, just simply based on what Tiki Barber had to say about Saquon Barkley going right. Is it down the road or up the road, Skip?
It's down.
Down the road to Philadelphia. You don't like it, but you don't like it because you're afraid. And you don't want to say you're afraid.
I've never been.
It's okay.
He's 0-10, and I'm afraid.
They've been but forget his team that he was with.
Yeah.
Talk about the team that he's with now.
Yeah, okay.
That's the team.
All right, that team I just watched lose 6 of its last 7 games.
We also watched them 2 seasons ago go to the Super Bowl.
But that team got blown out at Tampa by Baker Mayfield in his playoff game, 32-9.
Without A.J. Brown in the lineup amongst other players.
All right. Maybe something was going on between A.J. and Jalen.
Maybe that's the truth. He didn't play.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the truth.
Okay. So the point is Saquon that much better than DeAndre Swift was last year?
Yes.
You know what? I'll give you a touch better, but not significantly better, not life-changing better.
He will benefit from being with Jalen Hurts, and that offensive run game will benefit from having him. He is a dual threat, Skip. This is not a 2-down back. He is legitimately a 3-down back. Legitimately.
No.
There's not a lot of 3-down backs still in the National Football League.
Yep. He's got thunder thighs, and I forget what he ran the 40. Was he 4.4-ish in the 40?
4.4 dude or whatever. Squatting whatever, 800 pounds or whatever it is that he's putting on his back.
Breakaway speed. I give you all the above, but...
So you're going to sit here and tell me that the New York Giants offensive line is good?
You know what? It wasn't terrible.
His skill position,
the left tackle is really good.
His skill position players that played with him were good.
By the way, Philadelphia gave Landon Dickerson, their guard, yesterday, like a ton of money.
And he obviously must be good.
He must be good because you know, again, I don't watch that closely, that interior part of the line.
You couldn't tell me one skill position player outside of OBJ that Saquon Barkley made a play with in his early career in New York. You couldn't tell me not one dude.
Okay.
But you can easily tell me what Philadelphia has.
Yeah, I'll give you AJ when he's right with Jalen.
Give me AJ, but no Devontae Smith? No guy or the tight end?
He's okay. He has never scared me because he has never killed us before. He's good.
So I like his first name. Your measuring stick for professional, your professional football players, you gauge them based on playing against the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, that's what I'm a prisoner of that. But if you go 0-10 against your arch division rival,
doesn't matter though.
He wasn't transcendent.
If the team, first of all, Joe Judge was prior to Joe Judge. Who was the coach? Was it Pat Shermer? Who was the head coach of? Oh, anyway, it was somebody that wasn't good.
Yep.
And then you get Joe Judge as the coach.
Yep.
Oh, Ben McAdoo.
McAdoo.
Come on now, Skip.
Yep.
Ben McAdoo was the coach.
Yeah.
And then you get Joe Judge.
Okay. Life has changed. Okay. Now it's Nick Sirianni.
Who just went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Prior to that, who's been to the playoffs 3 straight years as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, including a Super Bowl appearance that they very easily could have won. Very easily could have won.
I thought he was going to lose his job after they lost 6 of the last 7.
That's the noise that rises when things like that happen.
Okay, now let's deal with yesterday's controversy that you pointed out, that you mentioned. Tiki Barber on his WFAN show said with a smile and a chuckle, because I listened to it, so he's chuckling. He doesn't seem to be taking it very seriously. And he said of Saquon going to Philadelphia, he's dead to us now. You're dead to us, Saquon. Good luck, you're dead to me. And Saquon took that so personally. He took it so seriously, even though Tiki told ESPN that he was just tongue-in-cheek when he said it. But Barkley fired back at him. Yeah, LOL, yep, you're the prime example of loyalty to a team. He's shooting at Tiki here. I got the deal I wanted, secured more GM guaranteed money, which wasn't given to me before by the Giants. So if fans are going to hate me for that, so be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had theirs. Then he followed up with another post at Tiki Barber. You've been a hater since I got to New York, and all the dead to me talk, don't smile in my face when you see me, okay? Maybe they will run into each other. And yet, I think that Tiki can still smile in Saquon's face because I don't think he was that serious with his comment here.
You know, Tiki Barber has been known to throw shade at Giant players and ex-Giant players and things of that nature.
I think he's objective.
I didn't hear the comment. I've only read the comment, and I've read Saquon Barkley. And if Saquon Barkley feels that Tiki Barber has been this way since he landed in New York, there's something that's there that he sees that we don't. He obviously feels that this man has an issue with him. He's always keeping his name in his mouth. Now, whether it's tongue-in-cheek and a little smirk of a smile, the New York Giants did this, not Saquon Barkley. They allowed him to become a free agent.
They did.
And part of becoming a free agent means that you now have the opportunity to go out into the free world of professional football and look to get a deal that will secure your financial future for as long as you can. And he did that. Whether it was down the road, up the road, around the corner, across the street, through the tunnel, whatever the case may be, he decided, and the Philadelphia Eagles decided, the same thing that it took 2.5 years to try to get a deal done with the New York Giants that made sense long term, the Philadelphia Eagles did it in less than 24 damn hours.
They did. Probably less than that.
Less than 24. I just say 24 because it started yesterday and here we are today.
But
They did it fast.
But what team knows Saquon better than any team knows Saquon? The New York Football Giants, and they said no to Saquon.
They said stupid is what they said.
Okay.
They paid Daniel Jones.
Okay.
That didn't make no sense.
All right.
At all when you, the best player on your team, see, when people make executive mistakes, paying somebody they shouldn't pay, when the best guy is this guy, and you make an executive decision, oh, I'm going to pay the quarterback because I have to pay him because he's a quarterback, and no, Saquon Barkley's your best offensive player. So you should have paid him.
think that's true. I think the year before, Daniel Jones, you're underestimating and dismissing what he did the year before. They made the playoffs because of Daniel Jones.
Because Saquon Barkley was in that lineup.
Okay, but
it made life much easier for Daniel Jones.
I'm sure it did, but in the end, at quarterback, you have to play quarterback. You have to do what quarterbacks do.
Daniel Jones didn't light the world on fire, man.
He did. He's athletic.
He
can move.
He had a nice season. A nice season.
He did. He won a playoff game against the guy we're about to talk about, Kirk Cousins at Minnesota. He won a playoff game. But you act like
that's saying a lot.
Well,
Cooper Rush walked into that building.
He did.
And lit up Minnesota.
In his first start ever.
Okay.
Yep.
And then somebody else walked in that building. I think Dak Prescott walked in there.
Andy Dalton did.
And like, come on.
Yeah.
You're acting like the Minnesota Vikings. Your Minnesota Vikings is just some cold-blooded killers or something.
Well, that's what Atlanta thinks right now.
Well, that's Atlanta's fault. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's their money. I ain't mine. Arthur Blank will figure it out.
Okay, so to me, this comes across like Saquon's priorities are all wrong here because he's leaving his heart in New York. He's an Eagle now, whether he likes it or not, and he got his GM as in guaranteed money. Just go.
Because
ties.
He is cutting ties, but at the same time, I'm not going to have you throw shade at me, and I'm supposed to just ignore what you're saying. When you've been messing with me my entire career, you constantly are picking at me or whatever their issues are, he addressed it. I have no problem with it at all because he got his guaranteed money when the New York Giants were not trying to pay him.
They weren't.
The New York Giants didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to pay him a year ago, the year before that, and they didn't want to pay him this year.
Maybe that's significant. Maybe you should take that to your Saquon bank.
No, it's not significant. It's, first of all, it makes sense if you're the Giants. Your team is bad. Your team is bad. Okay. You don't have a good football team. You need more pieces than what you have.
They got one good one yesterday.
In fact, you need a quarterback.
They got Brian Burns.
Yeah, they got Brian Burns. They paid him a boatload.
I don't think Daniel Jones is nearly as bad as you're dismissing him as. I mean, he's had his moments. If you take a team to the playoffs in this league, you're not bad.
Every single mock draft, and the mock drafts doesn't mean anything, but it just shows you that people are looking at the quarterback position and said they should grab a quarterback with the 6th pick. I think it's 6. Everybody's saying that.
Yeah, okay. And he did that. He took them to the playoffs. And that's why they gave him his money. And he was more valuable in that run than Saquon was.
I can point to a whole bunch of people that take a team or as a quarterback of a team that go to a playoff victory and lose. The Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott was a 2nd seed.
Thank you.
And they went to the playoffs and lost.
Yeah, and you want us to pay him another boatload.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
You should. You should back the truck up.
Yeah, back the truck up. So the point is, we got one other tweet here from Micah Parsons, who responded to Saquon's signing with again, what I surely believe is a tongue-in-cheek tweet because he did 3 emojis, laughing, crying emojis, before he said sickening. That was the one word that he tweeted. So I think he's just chuckling about it like it's sickening, ha-ha, because they both went to Penn State.
Sickening how? He's saying it's sickening that the Philadelphia Eagles landed Saquon Barkley when the Dallas Cowboys didn't land anybody. That's what Michael Parsons is saying.
Yeah.
It's sickening to see a guy that went to the same school as me, although they didn't cross paths on the playing field, they still know each other. They worked out. They're both from the PA area.
Yeah. He's
saying that the Dallas Cowboys should have, much like I said, look at Saquon Barkley. Now, maybe they don't want to spend that type of money. Maybe they don't because somebody, Pollard wind up leaving.
He did.
And then they flirted around with another running back, but he wound up leaving and getting $4 million from somebody. I can't think off the top of my head, but it was a running back that they thought about taking a look at, that they liked. So maybe he's just saying, we probably should have done that.
Okay, I would
And now
buy.
I got to play against this dude again.
Okay, I would buy what you're saying if he had just posted one cold-blooded word, sickening. But when you put the laugh cry emojis in front of it,
He's laughing at y'all.
Yeah.
He's laughing at his
Do you
own team.
believe that? I don't think he's laughing.
1,100,000,000% that he's laughing at the Dallas Cowboys, and he's just laughing like, this is sickening. This is ridiculous.
Okay, and he's just going to go to Philadelphia and continue to terrorize us because we're 10-0 against him, right?
But you keep, okay, you're saying you're 10-0 against him. This is not a pitcher on the mound going up against a club that has his number because they understand his pitch count. They understand what he is. Oh, this is not that. This is football. This is one person. This is not just because his team is 10-0 in their last 10 tries against you. Doesn't mean it's on him. His teams are back. I just told you McAdoo was the coach. Think about it.
All right, and think about this.
And Joe Judge was the coach.
Aaron Jones has played the Dallas Cowboys 4 times.
And his teams are better.
4 times, and he's gone way over 100 yards all 4 times.
His offensive line is better.
Oh.
His quarterback, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, is better.
Interesting.
His receivers were better.
Well, he kills us.
Devontae Adams and
player.
Romeo, they were better. Romeo Dobbs and Devontae Adams.
Big game player. They're going to miss him.
Bakhtiari, big-time offensive lineman.
And they let him go. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah. They finally said no to him.
Oh, that's their fault. They got to figure that out. He'll probably wind up with the Jets or something.
Yeah. Micah is not afraid of playing Saquon. But I'll give you this. I'll give you one point.
I didn't say he was afraid of playing Saquon.
I'll give you this. Philadelphia will probably beat Dallas at Philadelphia. So Saquon will finally get to after next year.
Sounds like you're scared.
He'll be 1-11.
Now
No, I think Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia beat us in the 4th quarter at home this year. They probably should beat us again next year.
Stay in bounds.
Well, you got to stay in bounds, right? Okay, but if he had stayed in bounds, we might win that game.
Yes, and if was a fifth, we already know that story.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.